Being a high value person has nothing to do with what brand of a bag you have, if your shoes or pants are vintage or not, if you have a nice home, or if you have a lot of things. The way for you to identify what your core values are is basically by tapping into your healthy anger. And your healthy anger is probably untapped if you are a very nice person and you're used to playing that nice person role. In other words, you might be a people pleaser. And I don't mean to shame you. I understand you had to be that way during your survival time in your childhood to be accepted in wherever you were. But today as an adult, we really don't need to be a people pleaser. We can be our authentic selves. And your value will increase the more authentic you become to you. And the path to authenticity is truly to understand what are your true values and then be super clear about it and stand by them. So the way to get to know your values is by understanding what does anger me. Your first initial reaction will be, Shilpi, nothing angers me. I am such a cool person. Well, good job. I'm sure you are, but that's not true. And that is the suppression of your anger. And it's really important to understand what is your healthy anger, because this way you know not to bend yourself in order to do something that will actually make you like yourself less. So for example, I won't act on an anger, but inside myself, if I see someone being mistreated because of their color or status at any place, it will trigger something in me. And if I'm looking for, a circle of friends to be in my core circle or partner, I cannot be in a relationship with someone who doesn't have the same alignment on these moral values. And everybody's different. Something that may trigger me may not trigger you. So maybe you're okay with people lying, but I'm not. So if you're okay with people lying and I'm not, we cannot be friends. Just because that doesn't bother you, but it bothers me. And because it doesn't bother you that much as it bothers me, I will know that at some point you will lie to me. When you know your values, you have to understand, okay, these are my values, and I also have to become my values. So part of becoming a high value person is not just understanding what your values are. But the second step after you identify what your values are is, now I have to become those values. That means I have to stand up for them and I have to be exactly what I want in others, right? So this is also how you start attracting more people like you, and you start attracting really good people, to tell you the truth, once you start really living in those values. So if I don't want this person to be that way, right? I want these set of values for other people to have. I have to have them first. So then you spend some time in cultivating and becoming those values. And now you will see that you don't even have to do anything. You just become a higher value person, and not just to get other people's approval or validation, but because you actually don't want to be anybody else but that person. And because that person is you, that person is your authentic you. So I'm going to read, and you will read too, because I'm going to put it up in the screen, a few traits of high value, just so we have a better idea. So strong ethics and integrity, acting consistently with one's value and principle, being honest and trustworthy. They do the right thing not because they want to appear virtuous, but because it's who they are. You understand the importance of empathy and kindness. While high-value individuals strive for personal success, they also understand the importance of empathy and kindness. They genuinely care about the well-being of others and often display acts of kindness and compassion. They listen attentively, offer support, and are willing to help others without expecting anything in return. Okay, and I think the last one that I do want to mention is generosity. This doesn't mean being generous with money or possessions, but also with your time, assistance, and kindness. High-value people understand the value of giving without expecting anything in return. They are willing to support others and help them grow. So these are traits that you are probably going to start noticing in the people that you think are high value, even in yourself if you think you have certain traits of these kinds. However, if you're not a high value yet, right? How do I overcome? How do I become a person with higher values? There are 4 ways, apart from going through the understanding of what values are, tapping into your healthy anger, journaling through what actually pisses you off, and then learning that I have to stand by these values, because if I don't, then that's not being true to myself. So number 1 is everything that you expect on others, you have to deliver it yourself first and foremost. So that means cultivating self-awareness. But it's not just about self-reflecting, but it's what you do with that knowledge that actually matters, right? So you self-reflected. Okay, now with that information, how are you going to use it? And how are you going to act? That's the value there. You cultivate a growth mindset. You're always learning. You're always curious. You're always learning about yourself. You're always learning about others. You're always learning about everything in life by everyone. You understand that knowledge comes from different sources and everyone has some value, mostly, and you want to learn. You understand that you don't know everything. You don't have God complex. I heard that word, I wanted to use it. Anyways, you set clear goals and actions. So your value will increase within yourself. Honestly, this is how your entire confidence increases, is when you set goals and then you achieve it, and then you feel good. You're like, oh wow, I can do that. Okay, now I'm going to set even more, like a higher goal, and then you achieve it. So that keeps you on that right track of life. And the 4th one is basically what I said in the beginning. It's truly taking time to develop strong values and think about them. This is where you actually have to dive deeper into your self-discovery journey. And self-discovery has nothing to do with yoga, meditation, exercising, and eating healthy. All that is parallel, it's different. But it's not just because you meditate every day, that does not mean that you are discovering anything about yourself. You actually have to be intentional and really learn about your patterns. You have to revisit your childhood at almost every single decade of your lifetime. Every age, like 30, 40, 20s, we are growing and we are shedding layers that no longer suits us. But for that, you have to go back to childhood, because childhood is the origin. It's where it all began. It's where you were the most authentic. And then life came in the middle. And then you learn coping mechanisms and you learn things that worked for you during your survival phase. Some people have been traumatized by it. Some people have been abused. Some people have not. But you just learn how to navigate, and you learn to have different coping mechanisms because you were a child and they served a purpose. They were good for you. So maybe people pleasing, being excessively agreeable, your attachment styles, all that were created during that coping mechanism. Now, as an adult, we have to understand that we don't need any of that anymore, right? And this is where the self-discovery comes. It's because we have to understand that we have to shed that armor. We don't need that anymore. We can have other things. We can have boundaries, and therefore you can protect your kindness, your softness, your energy, your knowledge, and only share with the people that actually truly value you. And I think boundaries should also be in one of these lists. When you're a child, you cannot have boundaries, because we're so dependent on everyone around us for validation, for food, for shelter, for sleep, for care, for love. And we need that. We really do need that. But why do we need to know our values as an adult and become more authentic? So we don't make the same, I wouldn't say mistakes, but so we become better humans. We become better parents to our children. We become better friends to our friends. We become better leaders, better employers, better co-workers, better neighbors. And that's the only way to improve our society, is truly by improving ourselves. That's like the best thing we can contribute to the society, is show up with high values and stand up for injustice. Be generous, be kind. All high value people have is clear communication. And when you know how to communicate, you know how to have those tough conversations, because we need to have those tough conversations, and we need to educate people about everything that is happening in our crazy world. And not everybody will agree. And that's okay, but you still need to say that that was not fair. Does that make sense? And the only reason why most people stop expressing themselves is because they're afraid of their own emotions. They don't know how they're going to maintain balance when they are triggered. So this is where you gain more confidence within yourself to have really difficult conversations, because you know everything will be fine. And that's the last thing that characteristics of a high value person is: consistency. I think it goes back to having integrity. It's a consistent integrity. They show up every single day basically the same way, like at top shape, and therefore they need good habits. And when I say good habits, I don't mean anything too rigid or crazy. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. I hope this helps. If you like topics like this, please subscribe to my channel and feel free to share and like and leave a comment. Thanks.